Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the transit moon making a square opposition or inconjunct aspect to one's natal Pluto. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve the moon, they can be about our emotions, feelings, needs, responses, reactions, the public sensitivity. And when the transit moon is basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal Pluto, well, this may manifest in the emotions, the feelings, needs, responses, reactions, the public sensitivity. These things may conflict in some cases with making a major transformation or making a transformation or major change in one's life, and whatever major change transformation that may be. A lot of it, of course, is going to be predicated on the house that Pluto resides in. If it's in the fifth house, it could be in something with love, romance, or children. The first house could be the physical body, and even if it's in the sixth house, it could be something connected, with your health and how something may be affecting you physically and what you're going to do to maybe to transform maybe a negative health situation, as an example, as some examples. Now, the thing about this transit, though, is that I've said this in previous videos, but I'm going to say it in this one in case some of you may not have heard that. The thing about is these transits, they don't last very long. They're not of a long duration. They only last about 10 hours on average, because the moon, if you're using a 3-degree applying aspect and a 2-degree separating aspect with these transits, you're talking about 5 degrees total. It takes the moon moves about 1 degree every 2 hours roughly. So if when it moves 5 degrees, it only lasts for 10 hours. These transits are not overly, I don't see them as overly significant. They are frequent, though. I mean, the moon, it takes the moon less than 30 days to traverse all 12 zodiac signs. So you're going to get like 5 of these transits a month. You're going to get two squares. You'll have 1 opposition and 2 inconjunct aspects. They're frequent, but not overly significant. They're not long sustained, and in many cases you will be sleeping during this transit anyway, or at least part of the transit. You may be sleeping in many instances, because again, the transit only lasts about 10 hours, and then most people are gonna sleep like 7-8 hours a night roughly. So anyway, the thing about this is that you keep in mind, Pluto is also connected with crisis. So it might be a situation where a crisis might be making you more exasperated or more emotional at this time, more so than usual. You may not be able to, the mother or home, a family member, someone you're close to home with, a prominent female in your life scheme. These people may not be overly supportive at this time. If you are going through some crisis, if it's in the third house, it could be something to a neighbor or a sibling or a cousin. Pluto is also associated with investigation and deep research. So if it's something that you're supposed to do as far as deep research at this time, or trying to investigate something, it may be a time where you just might not feel like doing it. The moon can be about our moods, how our feelings, what we feel like doing. It might not be something that you really want to do, and a lot of times I would say it'd be best if something could be put off that needs to be done. In this case, Pluto related. Let the transit pass, because you're not going to be in the mood to do a lot of Plutonian things probably at this time. And also too, Pluto is about power and control. So it could be a situation where there might be power struggles with a mother. It could be a prominent family member, a prominent woman in your life scheme, someone you're close to home with. At this time, if the moon is in Scorpio, maybe it is with a Scorpio sun, moon, or ascendant person, or simply one that embodies Scorpio characteristics. Pluto is also about obsession and fixation. So the thing is, at some cases, you become overly fixated or obsessed with a prominent woman that's in your life at this time. It can be, a situation too where you might, or it could be doing some work in the home, whether it might be, home renovation or repair. Maybe there's an overly, power urge in your home, and be careful to avoid domination issues in your home at this time. Pluto can be about domination. Again, it's about power and control. Um, it could also be a situation that, Pluto is about coercion as well. So if you're in a situation, in isolated cases, if there's any bullying going on, and you're the victim of it, it can be a situation where it may be, you might be more sensitive to it. It might be a time where it's taken an emotional toll on you in some cases, or it could be a situation where it could be a home or family member maybe going through something at this time, where there might be some intimidation or bullying directed at that family member that you know about. Um, it could be also, when you look at Pluto as well, Pluto is also about manipulation. So the thing is, try to avoid emotional manipulation at this time. And sometimes it can be where maybe you're the one who feels emotionally manipulated at this time. But something like that, is not really that often, I don't think, because again, these transits are very frequent and they don't last for a prolonged time. Now, anatomically speaking, Pluto is connected with the prostate, the colon, the bladder, groin, reproductive system. If you are having any issues with any of these things that I mentioned, well, it can be a time where it might be more emotionally taxing than usual. You might be more sensitive to it at this time. You might be expressing more emotional energy connected with it, and you might not really feel like doing things due to one of these issues, if by some chance you do have one of those issues I just described before that are connected with Pluto anatomically speaking. Now, Pluto is also associated with crime and corruption. So there can be some isolated cases where there might be a little greater risk for the home. Maybe there could be some crime in the home at this time. It's usually not the case, I don't think, because again, these transits are very frequent. They're not overly significant. But the thing about it is, another thing about this as well, Pluto can also be about jealousy. So it can be a time where you need to avoid maybe jealousy in connection with the home or family members, a prominent female in your life scheme, someone you're close to home with at this time. Now, some cases too, remember that the moon is about our memories in the past. Pluto is associated with death. It can be about memories of somebody dying, may hit you harder than usual at this time, and you're not dealing with it well emotionally, especially if there was a death that was fairly recent in relation to the time of this transit. It could also be avoid being overly morbid or morose at this time, I would say as well. And Pluto is also about figurative death and obliteration and destruction. So at this time, if you're trying to end something, that's moon related, it could be some connection with someone from the past, or a home or family member, or some situation in your home life, might be a little bit harder to end, because it is, you're talking about basically an adverse aspect where it might be more difficulty, or there might be more work involved in doing so at this time. Now, and also Pluto is connected with support, whether it might be moral, emotional, monetary support. It might be a time where you might be more difficult getting this from people you're close to home with, or your family, or could be the mother. It could be a prominent female in your life scheme. Now, maybe these people might be seen, might feel that they're being overly cold or callous at this time, and it might just simply be that you're not able to just get a hold of them for that assistance at this time. Now, hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, Now, another thing too is that another way this may manifest and pan out, it could be a family member, a mother may conflict with a major change or transformation that you're trying to do. Um, it can be that maybe there's a problem that a family member may be going through that might be conflicting with this, and you have to put their needs, might be taking precedence over yours. Um, it can be, let's say, for example, if the transit moon is in Taurus, maybe it might be somebody, a family member might be a little bit avaricious or overly possessive, or someone that's stagnant, that's having a hard time moving forward, and you may be trying to do things to help them, or maybe it's just the fact that if they're like again, if the transit moon is in Taurus as an example, if the person's overly possessive, it might be a situation for that reason. It might be harder to make that major change or transformation in your life. Now, if the now some cases the past memories maybe they impede giving that support or to others. It can be, let's say, if the moon transit moon is in Pisces as an example, it could have been when you were maybe deceived or bamboozled in the past by people maybe that claimed they needed help, but they really didn't, and they were really running some kind of scam or scheme as an example. Um, if it's in Taurus, it might be not, simply being appreciated enough in the past. Taurus energy can be about appreciation, being valued. Now, the emotions at this time may be more difficult to control, more so than usual. Say, if the transit moon is in Scorpio, as an example, can be very convoluted, very intense emotions, even vengeful feelings. Um, if the transit moon is in Aquarius, it can be, bizarre feeling, like, for example, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but maybe like annulment. I think that's something connected with you wish, you could go something about wanting to go back into the past, or something so you could say what's going to happen in the future. Remember, Aquarius is associated with the future, but you may want to confirm that on the internet. I'm not sure if that's what it exactly means, but it's considered a bizarre emotion or feeling. And it could also be greater propensity, as I stated before, reiterated again, greater propensity for emotional manipulation at this time, and/or it could be and/or manipulation by a home or family member at this time. Now, um, if the transit moon is in Leo, as an example, it could be, you got to guard against me, maybe somebody that's might be dominating you, trying to dominate you as well at home, or it can be, Leo sun, moon, or ascendant person, or simply one that embodies Leo characteristics. Now, in some cases, there might be some stomach, which is connected with the moon issues that may be due to, it could be maybe toxins. Pluto is associated with toxins, or maybe even in some cases the food you're consuming, which is moon is connected with food, may cause some kind of virus, like a stomach virus. Pluto is associated with viruses. Anyway, people, that will conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.